Welcome, friends, and thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health Program today. A lot of great information to discuss with you, even some little tidbits from my trip to Europe. That's why I've been away a little bit. Love to hear from you. Certainly all of our Rumble and YouTube and Spotify, all of our Reddit followers. You can certainly call and ask a question. You could text us through a variety of different means, and we'd like to chat. So some great articles we can start off with. One of them pretty interesting, that almost 90% of heart disease deaths are linked to preventable factors. This is pretty sad because most people do not know any of this, and traditionally doctors will just tell you, hey, you've got big risk, here are the drugs, surgery, drugs. If you can change the cholesterol picture, if you can get the exercise up and going, if you can lower your cholesterol, triglycerides, you can make a huge difference in your blood pressure, your sugar, get rid of the cigarette smoking, the excess of the alcohol, very, very big changes. A new study found over the last 33 years, you could modify these risk factors. As of 2021, more than 254 million people globally living with ischemic heart disease. Also, there's evidence that nattokinase can help to decrease the plaque burden. So there are a lot of good things to do. You just need to get the good workup done to look at all your risk factors, the breakdown of the different LDLs, the different types of cholesterol, the apolipoproteins, etc., things that we do, and start changing the picture. But it's pretty amazing. Dr. Gregory Roth, MD, MPH, Program in Cardiovascular Health Metrics, Medicine Cardiology, University of Washington, did a big study, Medical News Today. Pretty amazing. So rather than just throw meds on board and not do anything, you really want to change your diet, exercise, fix the mechanism, and maybe you don't need the meds. This is what we see all the time because we do it, and we track patients that do it and see the result. So very important to learn about your body and do the natural things to help, as opposed to just taking meds and watching yourself get worse.
Someone in the chat just wants to know, can someone have a high LDL but still be healthy overall?
Yeah. There are people throughout Europe, in northern Italy, that have high LDL and high cholesterol, have no plaque. So plaque, as I see it, can be caused by 50 or so different things. Yes, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high LDL, too much small LDL, low levels of the good HDL cholesterol, high homocysteine, fibrinogen, C-reactive protein, heavy metal exposure because they bind to the bad LDL to become a foam cell, which incurs plaque. The list goes on and on. Infection, viruses like Epstein-Barr. So there are many things that we look at to see what the plaque risk is, and then just start knocking each one of those things away and stopping that process from occurring.
In the chat, I've heard some doctors say cholesterol isn't the villain we once thought it was. Has the science changed?
The science was probably manipulated back then, and in looking back over time, cholesterol became the villain because they could make a drug to lower it. And they didn't want to think of any natural means to lower cholesterol because, the money's in the drugs. At the same time that cholesterol came out and the idea was put forth, Kilmer McCulley, a doctor at, I think it was Brigham and Women's Hospital, one of the hospitals up in Massachusetts, was talking about homocysteine causing plaque and proving that you could lower with B6, B12, and folate. Now, of course, we know today there are some people who don't convert B12 or folate, they don't methylate, so we have to take that into consideration. We test for that. But it was not financially feasible to back and to put forth all that homocysteine and McCulley's research, because you couldn't make any money off of it because there's no drug that lowers the homocysteine, it's just vitamins. So, and many people are taking the statins, and there's a great article here that talks about statins and weight gain. Statins correlate with dementia. They wipe out all of your CoQ10, so they're not great meds to use, and we do things in a more natural fashion with berberine, red yeast rice, combination of nutrients, and low-carb diet, exercise, correcting vitamins, minerals, hormones, etc. So there's a better way to do it.
We got someone in the chat said, every time I'm at a gathering or party, I seem to be in an argument where someone mentions that they just got onto statins, and I have to scream at them. Thanks, Doc.
A party pooper. They may not get as many invites to the party. It happens all the time. And I tell people, if they want my opinion, I tell them the truth. And I could support it with literature. So, we all know that certain people like to be led around like sheep and just do what someone says they should do. And that gets you into a lot of trouble in many ways, especially with the injectables. Once I explain the mechanism, people are like, oh, wow. And you could lower cholesterol with diet, exercise, vitamins, etc.? Yeah, of course. I've done it for 40 years. And then I point them towards articles. I point them towards info on the website. And then they slowly come around. So some people are well-meaning because they want to tell people, hey, your cholesterol's too high. We want to knock it down. But there are better ways to do it.
I've switched to olive oil, and I've cut back on red meat a bit. How long does it usually take to change cholesterol?
That's not really going to lower cholesterol at all because they're not the cause of high cholesterol. So back in the day, traditional medicine said eggs are bad for you because they have cholesterol. Only eat the yolk. It's not true. They're not bad for you. They're great for you. They're one of nature's perfect foods. I can tell you that many years ago when I met Dr. Atkins, and probably in the 90s, and he wanted me to come to work in his office. He wanted to make my office an Atkins Center. I still think maybe I should have done that back in the day because I would have been 30 or 40 years ahead in business-wise, but neither here nor there. And he was showing me patient after patient after patient that did a low-carb diet. They were eating meat, they were eating fat, they were eating eggs, and they lost amazing amounts of weight, and their cholesterol and triglycerides, LDL, plummeted over the first couple of weeks. And he said your body's got to burn the sugar and carb before it burns the fat. If you take that away, your body burns the fat as a primary fuel. It's true. I do it, and I've been doing it since, I sat with him and understood the mechanism. I'm not saying people have to have massive amounts of fat, but for some people, fat makes you feel more full or satiated, so you're not as hungry. You're not going to eat all the carbs and all the excess foods you shouldn't have. It's almost as if the food manufacturers are kind of in on this picture, trying to get people to eat all the carbs and have all the disease and the problems, and make diabetes worse, and make people think, oh, you have to have carbs, and take out the red meat. Some people do a modified or a full-on carnivore diet, where they're having lots of meats and chicken and turkey and fish and the proteins, etc. And they do really well with that. They feel great. They're not tired. They're not getting blood sugar fluctuations from the carb intake. Some people are doing better with autoimmune disorders. So there's definitely something to it.
Go. Do fish oil supplements actually help cholesterol, or are they better for something else?
They're better for triglycerides, but I think you need a little fish oil on board because it's a good oil. Fish oil and olive oil should be the only oils you have in your diet. It's like I talk about an orchestra where every instrument is important, and if one is not tuned, you don't have perfect sound. But if they're all tuned, running on 8 cylinders, and you're doing well with your vitamins, minerals, hormones, and exercise, you'll see your best results. So yes, you need some fish oil, you need CoQ10. I like berberine, red yeast rice. There are different things that also help to lower cholesterol. Google lipids and Ayurvedic supplements as well, but low carb exercise allows your body to do what it wants to do, which is burn the fat. You want your body to do the natural thing rather than to not do anything else but rely on the drug.
When should someone start worrying about cholesterol? Your 20s, 30s, or only once you get older?
It's a good point. So I would like to look at all the risk factors and say, If a person's cholesterol is 220, but the triglyceride, HDL, LDL, apolipoprotein A and B, etc., all of the other markers are good, that cholesterol may not be a major issue. If a person's doing a good amount of exercise, great. However, if you have a 30-year-old person with a family history of heart disease and plaque and bypasses, and the cholesterol is a little bit high, and just lost my clarity in my microphone.
Get us back?
What's that?
You get us back?
Not yet.
All right. Give it
Maybe I turned and...
little flick on the ear there. We've been having, the doctor was enjoying himself in
testing.
Italy. And,
Yes.
And the earpiece said, you know what?
Earpiece got jealous and said, hey, I'm not going to work when he comes back.
Exactly.
Testing. Hello. Up there. Up.
Yeah, it's something up in the earpiece.
Hello.
There we go.
It came back a second ago, and there we are. We're back.
We're back.
Okay. Pardon us for that. So if that person with the high cholesterol and other markers has a family history, and also because the family history, the doctor wanted to do an ultravast CAT scan and they found plaque, or without the ultravast CAT scan, we've done a carotid echo or lower extremity, we find plaque, then we have to be a little more aggressive. So I'd rather look at the big picture than just one part of the picture.
Okay. Is plaque in your arteries something you can actually reverse, or is the goal just to stop it from getting worse?
Apparently, based upon what's been said about nattokinase and Dr. McCullough, that you can reverse plaque. So I think he's genius, and I think everybody should follow him, Peter McCullough. And again, my add-on to that, low carb, exercise, correct vitamins, minerals, hormones, get rid of heavy metals, do some chelation for that. I think the more good things you do, the better the result.
The chat wants to know if you were avoiding lettuce as well as the sheep.
Yeah, lettuce apparently lately. Now, some people jokingly say, yeah, I want to go to Taco Bell and get some lettuce so I can lose weight. People who do anything to lose weight.
It's not a fun
Yeah, so you have to be really careful where you eat. And honestly, if anybody's going to these places to eat junk food, you're just asking for it. You're begging for it. Because the mass-produced stuff is not good. There are too many chemicals, salt, fat, bad things in it. So I tell people to just never eat at those places.
Once in a while, Taco Bell will get me. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But I avoided it. For science,
Exactly. I'm not saying you can't have something you're craving now and again, but you can't make it a part of your plan, like your meal plan.
If you had one heart health number everyone should know besides their blood pressure, what would it be? Oh, okay.
One heart health number. It's a good question. I like looking at C-reactive protein because that's an acute, immediately reacting inflammatory marker. So that's really good. Homocysteine, really good, because that tells us whether or not there's high risk for plaque from low vitamins. So it gives us a lot of information, just that one test, because if the homocysteine is high, that also might increase risk for plaque in the brain. HDL is a good marker, but there are people that have high HDL without doing much exercise, but can still have some plaque. So maybe C-reactive protein, homocysteine. Those are relatively unique tests, but I think they're really important.
I see the chat saying Taco Hell. Listen, it's Taco Hell until it's 3 a.m. and everything else is closed. It starts to look a little more appealing. I digress. Hello, nice to see you. I'm at the beach listening to you, and I do take nattokinase.
Good.
Love that.
Everybody should. I think there are nutrients that everybody should take. And again, based upon your blood test, we put together a specific custom pack for you where I'll check off and put in certain things. Multi, CoQ10, D, and K2, a variety of things that everybody should have on board. The multi, of course, has the Bs, the minerals, beta-carotene, all of that. Some people, as you get older, need DHEA because you're not making much anymore. Vitamin D obviously is critically important for many things: bones, immune response, anti-cancer benefit. So there's a handful of nutrients that everybody should take.
And I just want to say, viewer of the day, I would say, listening to us at the beach, I mean, hey, come on. Can't ask for more than that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool person. They're at the beach, relaxing, hanging out.
Learning about optimal health.
It's warm, getting some sun, so they're getting some vitamin D. And they're listening to the show. That's an amazing compliment. Not that many people would do that.
I agree. Thank you.
I love the beach.
Maybe we should start broadcasting from the beach.
Don't even tempt me because I would do that in a heartbeat. The beach in our friend's vineyard, Anthony Sanino's vineyard. Or, now I'm going a little further, we need to do a road trip. A lot of my patients know, maybe many of you don't. I went to Italy for about 10 days. I just got back on this past Monday. It was spectacular, and it'll take me time to get the pictures in order so we can show some pictures on the show here, but I had the best time. Of course, I went alone, which
best way to go, I think.
Makes it easier because you don't have to try to decide or at some point argue about where to eat, where to go, what to do. But it was gorgeous. The weather was blistering hot, 115 degrees in Sicily. I flew direct from JFK to Catania because my family is from Sicily. And although I wanted to, and I rented a car, I was going to drive to Messina, Sciacca, go all over the place. I wanted to see in Palermo where all the dead people are like hanging up on the wall, like in clothes. They're the catacombs there. It's just, I wanted to really take a picture standing next to them, making that dead-looking face or that appearance. But it was too far to drive. It was just, it's a bigger island than I thought. So I said, I'm going to stay put. I went to a gorgeous hotel, the Atlantic. It was so hot. Every 10 or 15 minutes, I had to jump in the ocean because it was so hot. I could lay out in the sun here all day and be fine. There, it was like, I can't believe how hot it is. And I had the pool, the waiter and waitress come over and just keep bringing me bottles of water. But the food was spectacular. There was a boat sort of behind the hotel that would go out. The fishermen would catch fish, bring it to the chef, and there's your lunch. You can't get it fresher than that unless you're eating it on the boat. I took a little tram cable car up to Taormina. Breathtaking, beautiful little town. And there's one main street that everybody walks on, thousands of people. And to the right, you go up the stairs, and there are little restaurants on the incline upstairs, and there are restaurants on the decline going down. And I had food that, there's one dish, a Sicilian dish called pasta con sardi, which is amazing. It's pasta with sardines and yellow raisins and pignoli nuts and a little fennel. It was just amazing. But the sardines over there are delicious fish. It's not this canned, crappy thing that you get over here. And the aliche, the anchovies, same thing. They're delicious. It's just no salty, no bitter, no horrible flavor. And everywhere I went, I had amazing food. And I even lost weight because you're walking like 15,000 steps a day. All over the place, up, down, backwards, forwards, taking pictures. It was incredible. Then I flew to Pisa, which is the closest airport to where I was going to. My friend Adriana and Tom, they had their 30th wedding anniversary, so they rented a villa for a month. They're still there. And they had friends come over, intermittently, and I went and was so grateful for them to invite me because I probably wouldn't have gone on the whole trip otherwise. So I said, let me take a few days, go to Sicily. I'm in Forte dei Marmi. It's a gorgeous town, spotless, wonderful restaurants, amazing food, great shopping. And my friend Tom and Adriana have 5 daughters, and they love to hit the stores. I looked over at Tom. He's like, oh, don't have kids, don't get married. So I said, I don't even want to know what this is going to cost, the shopping spree. At any rate, we go to the beach club called Alpe Mare. Behind the beach club are the Alps, and then you have the ocean. Very, very elegant, gorgeous. I'm walking by the restaurant. I look over to my left. I'm like, Nah, can't be Andrea Bocelli. What would he be doing here? And then the waiter who helped us out at the cabana where we have this, canopy and all that, I said, is that him? They said, yes. I said, could you just ask him? I just would like to take a picture if it's possible. I don't want to bother him at all. He's there with his wife and kids. So the waiter walked me over to him. I said, Maestro, I said, it's great to meet you. And I'm not talking 95% Italian the whole trip. I had words pop in my head that I didn't know that I knew. And he was very gracious, very funny. Sit down, let's have an espresso. I'm like, is this really happening? So we spent about an hour. We talked about my ancestry, his ancestry, food, this, that, music, everything. It was like talking to a guy that I've known my whole life. Incredibly nice. And his wife was very lovely. And he said, Doctor, he goes, tell me about peptides. And I said, peptides? I was blown away that he wanted to learn about peptides. So we spoke about NED, Sermorelin, vitamins, how we do the custom thing. I just gave him the whole discussion. And he was really into it. We exchanged phone numbers, we exchanged emails. I've already emailed back and forth with his wife and going to set them up with nutrients and et cetera, peptides. They're coming back to the States in September. So they asked if we could meet again, which is just the loveliest people you'll ever meet. And it was a surprise to see him, but it was even more a surprise to see how genuine and nice he was. And the kicker, at one point he asked where I lived. I said at Oyster Bay. I said it's across the street from Billy Joel. So he started singing, don't go changing to try and please me. And of course I had to pipe in, I never want to work that hard. So now I just realized I'm singing a Billy Joel song with Andrea Bocelli
Unbelievable.
in Italy on the beach. It was the most surreal thing. But they were very, very, very charming. I've never met a nicer couple. So we're going to get them all set up and give them some information, and we'll see them when they get here.
Yeah.
So cool. Best.
It's crazy.
The highlight of the vacation. Absolutely. The highlight. And then went to Florence, went to see the Statue of David, took a million pictures, ate some amazing food. The Hotel Savoy. Went the next day to Rome for a couple of days. I had a driver take me around. And we started at 7:30 in the morning, went to the Spanish Steps, Capitoline Hill. I ended up at the Vatican. I was there for a few hours because I was taking pictures. And it's just, I've been there 3 or 4 times, but it never ceases to amaze me how gorgeous and how big the Vatican is. It's just the greatest piece of artwork that exists in the world, bar none. Because everywhere you look is gorgeous art. And even the columns and the walls and the ceiling and the Pietà. And we'll show pictures. I'll get them all together. We'll show pictures next week.
Oh, yeah. We will be showing pictures. And I will just say, from my point of view, this Andrea Bocelli experience, Doctor sends me a text message, which on our time, it was about 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, sorry.
And I happen to be, I'm feeding the baby in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a hand, but I see that Dr. Chris texted me. And all I see is, I met a wonderful man, that would be great to interview on the podcast. We just had a great conversation at lunch, and that's all I could see on the homepage, right? So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, he met a great Italian man. It's going to be great, have this guy on the podcast. And then 15, 20 minutes when I'm done burping her, I pick up the phone, I click it, and then there's a picture. I'm zooming in. I'm like, that's Andrea Bocelli. That's Andrea Bocelli. I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
He was the nicest person you'll ever meet. So, and it just makes a vacation that much better. And everywhere in Europe, everywhere you go, people, buongiorno, hello, how are you? And they ask where you're from. New York, oh, New York, Yankees, or, where's your family from? You're Italian? Yeah, Sicily and Salerno, etc. So it was just, I met nice people everywhere I went. Of course, all the hotel people were really gracious. And the waiter in the first hotel I stayed at in Taormina says that he's from Messina and he knows people that have my last name. Calapai, 5 different people. I'm like, wow. So I have to figure out how to get there and then search for those people. I couldn't get it done quickly enough on Ancestry.com, but I'll do that next time I go.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you found any family.
I mean, I'd have to because we're only from Messina and we spread out all over the world. We're in Australia. I know we're all over Europe, all over Boston, New York, a variety of places. So, yeah, I can't wait.
Someone in the chat said Andrea Bocelli was just in Madison Square Garden a week ago, 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
asking if stem cells can help. Do you know what his eye condition is that he's blind?
I don't know 100%. People have asked me. I have to look it up, research it. It was from an injury, I think.
Someone wants to know, how is the Pisa Tower doing now?
The tower's relatively stable. I didn't really go to see it because it was sort of just a place to hit the airport. With Ryanair, it was the quickest way to get from Catania, Sicily to near Florence. And the flight was nothing. It was like $130. And kind of like a no-frills flight, but it was fine. And it's an hour and 20 minutes or something. And got there and then just went to my friend's villa. It was amazing. Other things that are amazing is that the driver that my friend hired to take everybody around, it was a big, big, big van. I asked him, I said, I need to get toothpaste and, shaving cream. I'm going to go to a pharmacy. And he knew one that was on the way between where the villas are, where all the gorgeous homes are, and right before the city. And it's this little nondescript place, little pharmacy, big supermarket. I walked inside. I'm like, what is this? It looked like the most high-end food market, like a Whole Foods or like Fairway used to be, or Balducci's or Grace's, right on the side of the road near a gas station. So it looked like it was a totally rural setup. I walked inside. There's like 30 prosciutto full ham hocks hanging from hooks, and then every type of meat and vegetables and chicken. I said, I've never seen anything like this. But inside it was like this high-end, I don't want to say couture, but like this high-end specialized food. I said, wow, this is what they have on the side of the road? It was amazing.
I could taste the prosciutto, the thickness.
Every food that I had there was better than the same food I've had here and anywhere else. So the prosciutto was better than any prosciutto I've ever had here. The eggs, the fish, the shellfish, everything was just beyond. And everybody's friendly. Everywhere you go, they smile. Hi, how are you? Buongiorno. I must have said buongiorno 15 million times.
Grazie mille.
Yeah.
Mille grazie.
Even little kids, and I'd be standing somewhere waiting to get into somewhere, a restaurant or, an art exhibit, and these little kids speaking Italian to their parents, it's just out of this world. Oh, mamma, ho bisogno una nuova minigonna. Minigonna is like a little dress, and I think it's a Sicilian thing, and she was asking for a new little dress. She must have been 3 years old. But to see a little pipsqueak speak perfect fluent Italian was amazing.
Chat says, no Uncle Giuseppe's in Italy, Doc?
Nah.
Don't need it.
Yeah. Everything there is perfectly created and made and available. It's just, and the prices were not expensive at all. So that's what the everyday people go to get their food and all of their things that they get. It's amazing.
Chat says no GMOs in Italy.
None.
I think that's why it tastes better.
Definitely. Absolutely, without a doubt. No chemicals, no GMOs, no colorings, no dyes. When you order a steak there, and sometimes they bring the steak by the table, this big fat steak, bistecca fiorentina, big thick steak. It's not this red bloody steak you'd see in a supermarket with the chemicals and the red color. It's sort of a brownish color, like it's aged, because a lot of them are. And it's just, the taste is spectacular. And, just like I tell people, you could look at pictures of the Vatican, videos of the Vatican, you just don't get it. You can't feel it. You're there. And I took a picture at the front door, as I did many years ago. I got to compare the pictures. And the people around you are regular size. But halfway to the altar, where the black Bernini columns and the Pope, does his Mass, the people are like ants. It's so big, so tall, so long. I think 10 St. Patrick can fit in the Vatican. It's just spectacular.
What are we doing here, Doc? As I mentioned before the show started.
I don't know. I just know that I'm going to, 3 or 4 times a year, I'm going to go and, take either long weekends or a week here and a week there and just go travel.
Yeah, you got it.
Primarily Italy. I've been a lot of places, Spain, France, a lot of different places, but Italy is just, I can't pull the right words for it. Simpatico is the Italian word for it, but everybody's nice and it's great and it's comfortable. You feel like you're home, and it's rustic, it's old, it's new, it's so many things, but you have this wonderful feeling of, I feel amazing here. And of course, you sleep late if you can, go to bed early if you can, see sights that you've never seen. And it's amazing to me that these people see this stuff every day. There's a big square in front of the Uffizi Gallery in Florence where the statue of David is. And, there's artwork from everybody. So I have pictures of all these things and oil paintings, Caravaggio and, Michelangelo stuff. And there's a big square the size of like a football field, but square instead of elongated, and statues everywhere. This one area right before the gallery has statues on each corner of the building, big 40, 50-foot statues. And then there was an area of steps where people just go and sit and relax and, eat lunch or, brown bag it or whatever. And they're sitting among sculptures that go back to 1500. And that's the way those buildings and sculptures were then, and people just sit around there and enjoy them. It's like they see it every day. I hope they just don't get used to it.
Appreciate it.
I imagine.
Someone in the chat wants to know, if you had to decide to live in Italy, what part would you pick for your house?
Wow. Good question.
I think I would pick Tuscany, but there's such a vast...
Yeah, Tuscany and Florence, that area is just so elegant and beautiful. That would have to be the pick, because you could have a gorgeous, my preference would be having a big, beautiful villa with a river so I could fish, having a farm with all sorts of little animals and, grow vegetables and do all of that, because that would be perfect. And then maybe a half hour or so from the beach so I could get down to the beach and enjoy that. But in a half hour, so between Florence itself and the beach, because it's just so beautiful, and that, the town, the city of Florence is just gorgeous and clean and so much to see. And I was thinking, I turn to the left and I see a gorgeous building, and I have to stop and enjoy the architecture of the building itself and how old it is. Then you look down the block and you're like, oh, what's down there? So you walk down there and you see more things. But there's so many things to see. You can't just walk down the street like you would here and blah, blah, blah. You're just looking at every, little architectural piece of the building and the statues, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard to make it to your reservation, because you're like, what the?
Yeah.
Let's go that way.
There's so many things to see. The first time I went, I was blown away. My mind was just fried after the first day. I was like, wow, I've got to take my time and just walk around slowly and look and take pictures. You have to.
Oh, yeah. Let me see what the chat's saying. They're just amazed. Loving this conversation.
Yeah, a little different. We go off on tangents, as everybody seems to know. As any good Italian would. You have to talk about food.
Oh, yeah. How was the adjustment when you got back? They want to know.
It's nice to be home and sleep in your own bed, but you're like, I miss the statues. I miss the cacio e pepe, the pasta with all 3 types of pepper and the cheese. I miss the bistecca fiorentina. There's a scene at the end of the Silence of the Lambs movie where Anthony Hopkins is walking down the street and he's got this saunter. He's got the Borsellino hat on, linen suit. Of course, I had that and I walked around with the hat on. And you just feel different. Maybe a little euphoric. You just feel different when you're walking around and you have nothing to do and there's no clock and There's no time sequence or work you have to deal with, and you just walk down and you exist. And all this beauty is thrown in front of you. That's what I was feeling. Walking down the street in Taormina, all this beauty is coming at you as you walk. And I walked 15,000 steps almost every day. And you see it and you feel it. It's more than seeing it. You see it, you feel it, you hear it. It's a whole different combined sensation. That's the best I could probably describe it without thinking more about it. But you don't get that here.
It's well said.
It's
That's a good point. It's like
it's a little distant. Even you go to Manhattan, I've been in the city a million times. There's none of that. You go, you see, you eat, drink, you guys go to plays and things. It's just different. It's cold. It's not warm and inviting and something beautiful and new to see, or some gorgeous girl walking down the street with gigantic, beautiful brown eyes and hair, and you're like, why is that creature not anywhere near where I live? Many years ago, I went to Florence, and I was walking with my friends, found a big square, an Armani store. I may have told the story before. I've probably told everybody, but I walked into the store. I'm looking at the clothing, and it's gorgeous. This is when Armani was really Armani. And I took this sport jacket. This is when it was the lira. I'm trying to make the conversion. It was 2,400 lira to the dollar, and I couldn't figure out what the price was. I thought it was going to be expensive because it was Armani. So I walk up to the counter, and this gorgeous girl turns around. I'm like, oh, my God, do I propose to her now? Or do I ask about the jacket first and then propose to her? Or do I ask her for dinner and then propose to her? I would easily have married her and said, we'll worry about the rest later. Somewhere between Sophia Loren, Verna Lisi, all these gorgeous Italian structural facial parameters. But I was like, so I asked her how much the sport jacket was, and she said, in American dollars, $300 American. I said, $300? I said, really? See. So I bought a few sport jackets. I bought couple of suits, shirts, because it was a fraction of what it would have cost once the shipping company takes their money, gets to the U.S. But yeah, it's different.
And the chat says, welcome back to New York with the vomit emoji.
New York.
Said it's a rat race here.
And the rats are winning.
Oh.
Especially the mayor. Did I say that? Who said that? Yeah.
Our boy Mike Crispy, by the way, went after Mondami.
Good.
For the Italians.
Oh yeah, that's just.
And he basically made him.
Do people
apologize.
not realize what Mamdani really is, or who he really is, and what he's trying to do? You can't hide behind the smile. He's anti-everything, anti-American, anti-Italian, anti-Jewish, anti-everything. So the people that put him in there, that voted for him, and the teachers are now blown away and are screaming because he's emptying their, pension funds and stuff. What do you think he was going to do?
Dumb.
Give you everything for free?
Out of thin air?
Stupid.
Look at us. We're back, baby.
Yep, we're back and better than ever. But I'm telling you, we're going to start doing some remote. And
we gotta. I don't know how we're gonna have to figure out what the service is like in Italy for a live stream, but we could always pre-record.
Just go record it and then just play it when we get back.
Exactly. We haven't traveled much, but I have gotten that feeling that. Okay, wait. So this was regarding the feeling that you get.
Yeah.
He said, we haven't traveled much, but I have gotten that feeling when I've seen places elsewhere in the U.S., such as Mississippi River in Missouri and Haystack Rock in Oregon. We went to those places to see.
I mean, the Moab and all the places in Utah and all of the amazing, mountain structures that people never see, the Painted Desert, Sedona. There's so much to see here that, will give you that same feeling. You could sit there in Sedona and look at the Painted Desert or just the sun hitting the minerals in the mountainside, and it's gorgeous color.
It's just never the city that gives you that feeling,
Yeah,
it's never a big city.
No, can't. Except the ones over there.
My son, when he was in the army, that's where she was visiting. That's awesome. Mondami is a communist, and those who follow him are extremely ignorant and misinformed. Thank you, education system.
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed.
I might have made one mistake many years ago. I had a relative who was able to get me into the armed forces to pay for medical school and all that. And back then it was a long repay route. You had to pay back 4 years for medical school and however many years of internship. So I would have been away for 8 years, but I would have traveled the world. It would have been spectacular. Only now do I think, wow, I could have traveled the world as a 22-year-old kid. That would have been pretty amazing.
Yeah. I have a friend who went in for to be a dentist. It was
Yeah.
a crazy life. Traveling everywhere.
My next life. Do statins cause weight gain? Interesting study. We know statins are bad because they wipe out CoQ10. They're linked with dementia, blah, blah, blah. Now they're saying that people that take statins seem to be having more increase in waist circumference, higher abdominal fat, overall weight gain, although they're not blaming the drug on it yet. Maybe increased risk of type 2 diabetes, so we don't recommend them. We recommend low carb, berberine, red yeast rice, the exercise, correct declining hormones. That's just the smart way to do it. It always works. Vitamin B3 supplementation linked to a 66% decreased risk of glaucoma. That's pretty cool, especially if you have a lot of glaucoma in your family. So, some nice nutritional tidbits.
Can taking a statin increase the risk of developing diabetes?
Yeah, according to this study, it says they believe so. Also, people are creatures of habit. If they have a high cholesterol and they take the statin, they think, oh, I could eat anything because the statin's going to lower my cholesterol. So just by virtue of that, they may be taking in too much carb and raising their sugar and using a lot of insulin. After a while, your pancreas gets tired of making the insulin, you're diabetic. But remember, heavy metals can go in and damage your organs and damage your pancreas and make it easier for you to become diabetic. But usually the progression is you have a lot of carb your early life and you're making all this insulin with every meal. After a while, your pancreas gets tired and can't do it, you're diabetic. But that's reversible with stem cell and low-carb exercise, hormone, vitamin correction.
Can you safely stop taking a statin if your cholesterol improves? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've taken more people off statins, over all these years because I've known of all the side effects, and we do just that. It's a combined effect, so you get your best result. If you just do low carb, you'll get benefit. If you do low carb and exercise, more benefit. You raise a low thyroid, more result. You get raise a testosterone or an IGF-1 decline. So the more things beneficial you add to the picture, the better the result.
It's amazing how eager some doctors are to prescribe statins, while others are much more selective or understand, or maybe they aren't getting paid.
People today, thankfully, and I like to think that 35 years on the radio and this podcast now are part of the awakening of people, are more aware, they're more skeptical. They don't want to just run to a drug when they can try to do things in a more natural realm. So I think that's a great wave of change that's happened and continues to happen.
How do you weigh the benefits against the risk for someone who's never had a heart attack or stroke? I've never been into statins, and as I've listened to this show...
There's nothing that says that a statin will stop a heart attack or a stroke.
Oh.
It's supposed to be just to help to lower cholesterol. But in many cases, it doesn't lower it enough, so the risk may still be there. Or if high blood pressure is the risk for stroke, the statin doesn't lower your blood pressure. Or if overweight's causing the hypertension, high blood pressure, the statin doesn't affect any of that. And from that article, it says it may make them more overweight. So to me, using a statin is using one thing to try and maybe do something that can help the picture, but it's not as thorough as, I keep saying, Low carb exercise, correct all your hormones, correct your vitamins, etc., etc. That's doing many things. It could be doing 30 different things where the med maybe might be doing one. I'd rather change and improve the 30.
My friend is on a statin and her cholesterol is only 220. Curtis Sliwa would have been the best mayor.
No, he was good. I met him a few times. A nice guy.
Is berberine a once daily supplement?
Typically, it can be taken once or twice a day. And then Reggie's Trice sometimes once or twice or 3 times a day. But as I say, put all that together, correct all your vitamins based on your blood test, get on the vitamin pack, get those nutrients perfected based upon the blood test, and then recheck the blood for the nutrients to make sure they're all great. A half hour to 45 minutes of exercise every day. Do everything that changes the cholesterol, and you'll get a great result. You know, there's a big difference between a comprehensive approach or a unilateral approach. Just take the statin. It'll do the work. Not good.
So it's a berberine. I didn't think of that one. Thank you. Up to date on questions there.
Also, I can't suggest or talk strongly enough about exercise because it's the delivery mechanism that gets your vitamins to all your cells, gets your hormones, floods oxygen in, and oxygen becomes energy because NAD in that pathway creates that. So you need all of that to be there. And you could see people that are kind of borderline, they're almost getting their result, but they're not doing the exercise. You get them to do the exercise, I tell them, get an exercise bike, put it in front of the TV and watch it. Walk around the block for a half hour, 45 minutes. Take a friend, a relative. All of a sudden, you see the results, boom, like that. Because the exercise just creates the great delivery.
Why is it so much easier to gain weight than lose it?
Yeah.
Amen.
So, yeah, the mechanism is there that in a person who doesn't do the exercise, in a person whose hormones are not good, etc., it's easier to gain the weight because nothing's balancing or combating that. But look at a person who's fit, you know, who plays tennis or, I'm not going to really talk about pickleball, although everybody loves it. A patient who's very active who plays tennis or golf and goes to the gym and rides the bike, they're burning it and constantly burning calories. So it's harder for them to gain weight because they're fighting that gain by doing all the right things. And if you have correct vitamins, minerals, hormones, and exercise, sometimes it's hard to put the weight on because you're just burning the calories that come in.
This is an interesting question. Why do so many heart attacks happen in people who never knew they had heart disease?
Because they never did the testing specific to looking at the risk of heart disease. There are thin people that have bad hearts. A good friend of mine who moved down to Florida, he's had numerous heart attacks. He's a skinny guy, and he owned a very good car restoration business and would restore 1900s Rolls Royces and all these old, gigantic, gorgeous cars. But he was exposed to a ton of chemicals, and maybe that's what's done it. But, you know, I think everybody, at least by 25 or 30, should start looking at the risk factors, the apolipoproteins, the HDLs, LDLs, LP(a), all the blood risk factors, and maybe do a stress test. Just see what your heart does when you're doing activity. Maybe sonograms to look for plaque in your neck, your heart, your legs. It makes sense. Have a baseline. And I tell the story. I've told it a bunch of times this week. My friend's dad, my friend from college, his dad died at 48 when we were in college. Horrible, horrible scenario. But I found out that the father's brother died at 48 and the other brother died at 48. All 3 brothers died at 48 from heart disease. I think it was a widowmaker. And my friend, throughout his life, had to be checked every year, you know, from college onward, and they prevented that 48-year-old heart attack and death because they were on top of it, you know, much, much, much earlier. Wow. Which was never done before, but saved his life.
Wow. Why does it seem like we're hearing about cancer in young people more and more often?
Because the P53 gene, which was damaged or inactivated by injections, is making that happen. Follow Peter McCullough. Look and read and learn about all of that because they talk about that. It's obvious.
I've never had good sleep. Is there any way to make up for years and years of poor sleep?
Well, your body is supposed to get good deep REM sleep. I don't know if you're snoring or not because snoring interrupts that good deep sleep. Hormone decline will do that. So it depends. Your body can tell us based upon the blood test. But you want to get good deep sleep. That's an ideal. So we try to do our best with the natural means to help get sleep. But you have to correct what's deficient or abnormal on your blood test or in your body first, because if you just take sleeping pills, that may or may not work. It's not changing the cause. So we have to find the cause and change the cause.
Is there any way to find out how if your symptoms are hormonal or just part of getting old?
That's a good question because those things go hand in hand. So getting old or aging, as I see it, I'm not going to say I'm always right, but I really am always right. Getting old is the loss of new cells repairing your organs and your tissues. You can see it in your hair, your skin, your nails, your organs. You could test them, obviously. But as you're not making new cells, your organs aren't working as well. So every part of your body, every part of your function changes for the worse. And if we correct those hormones and put them back to where you were 10 or 15 years ago, you regain that benefit and regain that function. If we do stem cell therapy and we do an intravenous, it'll go to all of your organs and make brand new cells so your organs function at a younger age. If you inject the joint gets repaired. That's repairing it back to a younger age of ability and function. So aging is really the loss of cells in all of your tissues, the loss of the hormones those cells make, the loss of the neurotransmitters they make. And on top of that, heavy metal exposure, infection, et cetera, just make everything worse.
Chat, my friend died from a heart attack at 48 right after he got a clean bill of health from the doctor.
So let's talk about a clean bill of health. If you didn't do a 25-page blood test like I do, if you didn't do sonograms looking for plaque in the neck, the heart, the legs. Another interesting comment comes to mind. When doctors do angiograms to look for plaque in your blood vessels, they're threading that catheter through your groin into your heart. What if you have plaque and you knock off a piece of plaque and that causes the heart attack? Are there any areas of fragile plaque that can break off when you're doing a stress test or something? It's possible. Are people diabetic or unstable, or is their heart going to start twitching when you do exercise that nobody knew about it before? Yeah, a lot of things are possible. So I wouldn't run to the stress test or doing something that's strenuous without looking at the entire picture. And we send a lot of people to St. Francis for stress tests. Send a lot of people to Dr. Schlafmitz for cardiac issues and his whole team. Phenomenal group of doctors, unbelievable. But you want to gather as much information as you can about your body and see where you really are, where you sit, and then fine-tune things to make everything better.
People want to know what's involved in a stress test for a heart.
Well, they put an EKG pad's leads on you, and they have you stand on a treadmill or sit on an exercise bike, and they have you walk at the very basic, and they have you walk faster and faster. Then they create an incline. There's a Bruce protocol. There are different protocols. And now there's more strain on your body. Your heart has to work harder to walk uphill on the incline treadmill. And you can see if there's any electrical abnormality or flow abnormality based upon doing that. It's a good test. It's always been a good test. You could inject a dye to see where the dye flows through the vessels to see if there's any kinking or plaque. So it's a good test.
Mountain Nugs in the chat says Oregon grapefruit contains berberine. Huh. Good to know.
Then have some Oregon grapefruit.
Would love it. Grapefruit.
Oregon's a nice state. Seattle's nice. It's just it rains too much.
Yes.
I'm a sun person, not a rain person.
Well, I've Seattle, besides, The Walking Dead that walks among us, it is a beautiful place. And every time I'm there, it's usually nice weather.
It's green and lush. Yeah. There's a great seaport area with amazing restaurants there. I was there once for a really good medical conference. But other than that, I don't know. Can't comment.
I know the market you're talking about.
So people are trying to blow each other up and destroy the stores and the riots and all the other crap that they did. These peaceful protests.
To talk about how liberal Seattle is, this was about 2-3 years after COVID, and I walked into a coffee shop in the morning, and I just wanted some coffee, and immediately the lady said, "You don't have a mask," and I'm like, "This is still a thing." Like,
yeah.
New York at this point was done for at least 4 months.
Yeah.
So I get her the mask that they give me. I go, "Can I just have a black coffee, medium?" She looks at me. She says, "What?" I said, "Black coffee, medium." She goes, "Oh, you mean with no cream?" Like, I said black coffee. She thought it was like some sort of derogatory statement. I'm like, yeah.
They're living in their own strange world.
This is New York. Okay. I don't know what to tell you, lady.
People in New York, this is what I want. Don't confuse it. Don't give it multiple crazy names. There are a couple of funny videos on that on Instagram. But, yeah.
And she had purple hair, of course.
I don't know. What's the world coming to?
Let me see what else we got. Any other questions here, guys? Asking if you know Dr. Roxanne Carfora, hormone doctor.
I know of her. I don't know her personally.
I think we're up to date here, guys. Let me know if I'm missing anyone. So you guys heart in the chat and YouTube. YouTube's a little upbeat today. Usually Rumble is, Love this.
It's good. Let's have the battle of the platforms. So very soon we're going to have the longevity health science podcast newsletter. It's going to be the umbrella, and underneath that will be, of course, the podcast, and then we're going to have Hemologica, where people can send blood in to have that evaluated by AI. Recommendation for diet, exercise, nutrients, which are my recommendations. And then people could have telehealth visits. We can send a device where you put the little warming pad on your arm, have your blood taken via skin through a little tube, so we can check results. And people could be on nutrients, they could be on hormones, peptides. So it's got to be a sort of a comprehensive, mechanism and picture. So we're gearing up to do that. We're doing well with getting the word out for the Stem Cell Foundation. Going to be doing a lecture at Oheka Castle in September.
Oh.
And bring the veterans up there to talk about how we're raising money for veterans to be able to get them the stem cell therapy that they so desperately need. So a lot of good things in the hopper.
Oh, that's huge.
We have to call Anthony today to see if we can do a live feed from the vineyard.
Yes.
Talk about the benefits of wine.
We gotta. Give me the go. Give me the go, Doc.
It'd be fun. And maybe we'll go across over from, he's in Cutchogue, and we can go out to Montauk and fish off the beach with my crazy friend Mike. And Mike and Anthony have known each other forever, but they're two peas in a pie. They're both crazy.
Stay tuned, guys. Montauk
Gonna have
Mike.
some good stuff coming up, yeah. So tell your friends, tell your family. A lot of good information. And I recently, because when I get these articles, I just sit in the office for a few minutes and pop on, go to Medical News Today and grab some articles and talk about them. But we've created with AI the ability for me to go on and ask AI for articles about 100 different topics. And we're going to be populating that. I'll talk about them on the show. Goes to the newsletter. The newsletter, when you sign up for that, will send alerts to you, send an article to you. So it's all going to be automated through AI. So I'm really excited about it because it seems like it'll be a lot of cool stuff and I don't have to work that hard.
Just real quick, someone wrote in the chat, I need stem cells for my kidneys.
Sure. Stems work great for your kidneys.
Put the office number up there.
Yep. If you like, give Frankie your phone number or email, and on Monday I'll have the staff call and get you set up for a consult, whether it's in office or telehealth, and we'll get you all set for STEM. So just like any other organ dysfunction or failure, you're putting brand new cells in, kidneys will suck it up, and you'll make new kidney cells. How long have you had kidney problems?
Just wait for the response. It's always a little bit of a delay.
We're also going to do something new with our answering machine. There's some new technology now, which is really cool. So if you call and you can't get through because the staff, we don't have 100 people answering the phones, and we get tons of phone calls every day. If you can't get through, the announcement's going to be, it's Dr. Calapai's office. We have a brand new answering machine. If you can't get through at the time because the staff is dealing with other patients, please leave a message. This is going to go through email, voice dictated to our email for the office. It'll also go to Dr. Calapai's email, so we won't be missing any calls, and we could more easily help you with your problems. So
perfect.
New technology.
Great. Also, they said since 2017.
Okay, that's not that long ago.
I got ESRF from Naproxen.
Okay.
Naproxen, sorry.
So, yeah, as I say, if you like, give Frankie your number, and we'll call you Monday and set you up for the consult.
Perfect.
Okay, friends, thank you so much. We have another one?
No. Just let them know I'm standing by if they're going to give their number.
Yeah. Right. Just give Frankie your number. We'll get you set right away. Thank you so much for listening to the program. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. If you get a chance, go travel somewhere, anywhere, anyhow, all over the place. We'll be back again next Saturday, and programs during the week you could watch, and we have a lot of programs on YouTube where everything is housed once we do it and we send it there. The new mechanism will be released soon, so we'll tell you all about that next week. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.